Hello, my name is Michael Lesen. Now, this video that you're about watching, okay, is actually to train you how to make accurate or near accurate entries on crash, sell, or on boom buy. Sometimes we place crash sell and it drags us upwards, and then after dragging us and taking part of our money, it now drops, and then sometimes it doesn't cover the loss, and we have to wait a longer time for it to continue dropping and all of that. I want to deal with that in this video, but I want to encourage you. If you have not watched my first, second, and third video, this will be the fourth one. For you to understand the whole of this module, this whole training is a series. You will need to go through all of those videos. The other one is about 45 minutes or thereabout. The other one is about 30 something minutes, and the other one is about 40 minutes. All of those videos are important for your knowledge. If you want to excel in trading, I want you to go to all those videos and then learn all you need to learn. Very good. Well, very well then. Now, the question is this: if you don't go through all those videos, you won't understand how we got to where we are today. So this is very important. Now look at what I'm trying to share with you. First and foremost, remember what I said about trading crash. For you to understand trading crash, you have to understand where the major trend is. You need to understand where the major trend is, okay? And you use your H1 time frame to determine that. And I've spoken about something like this. First and foremost, there is a cross of the red and the blue on H1, signifying the beginning of a buy trend. To further consolidate that, or to confirm that, we have the yellow 48 SMA crossing over and the candles are pushing up. And if you see what is happening, is forming higher highs, and then it's forming higher highs and higher low. So that's a bullish trend. But then the question is, even in a bullish trend, can't we have a sell? Can't we catch a drop? Yes, we can. However, this can also become a bullish divergence, meaning that as it goes on this way, we can have a sell. However, but for us to know that our entry is very accurate, you don't just enter a sell here. If you enter a sell here, there are a lot of things you will have missed, and that's what I want to talk about. First and foremost, when you have analyzed the major trend of the market, if you use H1 for your analysis is you're trying to find the overall trend of that market from what I've showed you. Now you go to 30 minutes time frame. I hope this will show up. Okay, in 30 minutes time frame, you still notice that the candles are above and the 48 yellow simple moving average is below. So it still signifies an uptrend push. But the question is, if at all you wanted to enter a sell for any reason whatsoever, what will you do? And that's what I want to show you now. What you do is come to 5 minutes. Never, take note of what I want to show you. Look at the screen. Never enter a sell in crash if these things don't happen. No matter no matter the trend, even if the trend is bearish, remember there will be retracement. And remember, I'm doing this for the sake of those who have little equity and they don't want their equity to be dragged. So what you need to do is that you come to 5 minutes. Okay, remember that a crash, maybe crash is selling, you want to make an entry. Don't just enter except you have a big equity where that can stand a retracement. But for you to cut off the retracement from affecting your equity, there is something to do, and that thing is come to 5 minutes. When you come to 5 minutes, look at your stochastic. Never enter a sell. Please write it somewhere and put it in your head. Never enter a sell in crash, whether it is at the trigger point or not, if these conditions are not met. Number one, the yellow or the orange color and the green color of the stochastic line must be at 90. That should be your first condition for entering a sell using 5 minutes. Okay, then that should be your first entry at any point in time. I'm not talking about M1. Please watch all my videos so that you can follow through. Now, you see, sometimes even if it is a sell trend, people are tempted to enter at this point. If you watch my video on trigger point, somebody would have entered at this where I put that circle, where we have the blue 22 EMA, and then it will still drag you upwards a little bit. So This will not be bad because at this point it can drop. But if it violates this trigger point, then you have to go to 15 minutes, okay? 15 minutes trigger point, and have to look for a trigger point. Remember, this is actually an uptrend, but I'm trying to show you something. If you come to 15 minutes time frame and you are planning to enter a sell, if you miss 5 minutes, that is to say, the stochastic is not at 90. Now take note, I want to show you this. Why we had this crash, this one here, was because this thing has approached 90, almost there before we had that crash. A lot of other factors are involved. Okay, but remember, we're not trading against the trend. I'm telling you what happens in a sell trend situation. Now, I will never place a sell in this crash except this thing gets to to 90, the both of them. That's when I can place my first sell using 5 minutes. However, if the trend is completely bearish, you can use 1 minute and go back to trigger point. But I'm trying to tell you this. For example, you're doing divergence. For example, you're looking at divergence because we have a typical example of a divergence here. Now look at this. This is a divergence situation, meaning that this is going to sell very much later. That's a divergence, right? Okay. That's divergence. Price is making higher highs while the oscillator is making lower high. So we have divergence situation. So what is expected is something like this. We're expecting this to go back here and come down. That's what we're expecting. But the question is, should I just enter this trade and start selling? What if it drags more higher? So to avoid that, you have to come to 5 minutes time frame and look for entries. And the only time you can make an entry is when the both stochastic are at 90. Sometimes I want you to permit, if it is in a strong bullish trend, I want you to look up for 15 minutes, meaning that sometimes you have to wait for the both of them in 15 minutes to come to 90. If you have by any chance see that this happening in 15 minutes, it's fine. But I also want to show you this M32. Now, why do we have this sell that drop? I want you to look at that sell, that bearish candle there before the buy. It was because this was exactly at 90 and the both of them cross each other. That's why we had that sell. That sell can give you a good amount of money if you use a good lot, if you know what you're doing. So in other words, what I'm saying here is never buy crash for any reason when the both stochastics is at 90. Don't even think to buy it because you're buying it at a very risky space, even if it is an uptrend, because definitely it will drop. The best place to buy crash, which I have said in the other video, is when the both of them are at the bottom, just like this. That's when you begin to think of buying crash. For this one, this is this. For this one, this is this. Okay, so we're going to be expecting some sells now. Now, this is the key to entry. Let me go to boom 1000 for instance. Boom 1000 is supposedly in a buy trend. Let's come to H1. Okay, it's in a buy trend. All the conditions for buying has been met, and now we have this retracement. We are expecting it to continue to buy up, right? Are you supposed to enter the trade and wait? This is how to know your entry. Come to 5 minutes. When you come to 5 minutes, you see the way it started pushing. Never enter a buy on boom except you see that the both orange color and the green are 10. If you are not satisfied with 5 minutes, you can use 15 minutes. Only when the both of them, that should be your first entry. Take note. That should be your first entry. Only when the both of them are at 10 should be your first entry for a buying crash. Even when it should be your entry in boom. I'm saying this even if your major direction is a buy. Okay, so your entry, what should make your entry very accurate should be your first entry. As a matter of fact, in the case, I'm not saying you should ignore trigger point. Trigger points are important, but for you to be very accurate now with the help of trigger point, keep your eye on the stochastic where it is. That should be your first decision, your first primary reason for placing the buy. When those both stock are at 10, in a smaller time frame, that should be your first reason to buy. And of course, when you do that, you will have very sharp entry, very, very sharp. You could just place that, and after like 1 minute or 2 minutes at most, it spikes and take you back and take you into a massive bull run or bear run, as the case may be. So that is the basis for placing or for entry. That should be your first reason. Overall, let me say this thing as I conclude. Make sure you determine the major trend. Go through the other videos so that you have a full glimpse of what this particular one is talking about. And I want to say that never enter a buy in boom if your stocks line, the stochastic lines, are not at 10 in 5 minutes time frame. Let's assume that a boom is actually buying and there's going to be a retracement. Make sure that the retracement, before you make an entry, that the green and the orange color, look at that place, is actually at 10 for boom in 5 minutes before you. That's when you should place a buy, because that's when your entry is very accurate. The same thing for crash. Do the opposite for crash. The best of it is when they think is actually in their trend, in their supportive trend. Boom buying, crash selling, wait for pullbacks. Every end of pullback should be when for a sell. Please take note of this point. For a pullback to come to an end, the orange for crash, the orange color and the green color lines of the stochastic must be at 90 in 5 minutes or in 15 minutes or at most in 30 minutes. Never make an entry if your orange color and your green color stochastic is not at 90 for crash sale or at 10 for boom buy. I hope this really helps. So that is the basis for making entry when every other conditions are met. Entry point is quite important. And then what about exit? Very key. Now look at exit. Every time you get to, for example, you were selling crash and then the stock lines moves to 90. Sorry, the stock line moves to 10. In this case, you were selling crash, right? And the stock line moves to 10. It means that it's going to start dragging. Okay, remember that if you are to buy crash, the condition is that the stock must be at 10. Please watch the video. I don't want to go into that now. So you can use that as your exit, okay, except you want to do a long term. But however, if you're doing short term just to catch the spikes, wait for, if you want to do buy and selling within the shortest possible time, watch the last video on how to buy crash and then watch this one. It will help you know that within 5 minutes you can buy crash and sell boom within intervals, irrespective of the time of the trend. Now that's by the way. Secondly, let me show you something very quickly. For those who want to become swing traders and they want to swing their crash buy or crashed or boom or sell, as the case may be, this is the secret to it. Fine, go to H4. Make sure, okay, let's go to H4. Now look at this. This boom 1000 is going to buy for a very long time, and this is why. First and foremost, there is a cross taking place already here, and secondly, this is actually a bullish trend, and there is a cross of the 200 and the 22 EMA on H1, massive going to buy. It's going to buy crazily. It's going to really buy. Okay, you can check this out later. So today is 23rd of September. So you can check out what happened to boom 1000 on the 23rd of September. I'm telling you, it's going to buy for a long time, and that's how we can always predict this market 99% of the time. So that is that for that. As I conclude, if you really want to be mentored, fully mentored on how to trade crash and boom profitably, apart from the videos I have given for free, you really want to be mentored, you want somebody to hold you by the hand and show you how to trade profitably, then you can chat me up. I'm going to drop a link on the description, and then you can reach me on Telegram, and then you can become a personal mentee, and I will be willing to assist you and help you. The goal is not the money. The goal is mastery, is knowledge, and I look forward to seeing you succeed. Thank you, and God bless you.